Hello and welcome to the show. Now, a little while ago, we did one gear racing, where we built cars specifically to race using a single gear. Now, I ended up using this AMC the machine. This was a fairly common strategy. You put an awful lot of power in a car and kind of hope for the best. No, it doesn't handle as well when it gets to the corners, but you'd have so much power and so much torque that the very, very long gearing meant it could get out of the corners and it wouldn't buzz the limiter like some of the other cars would. It's popular strategy. Or you could go for a very, very grippy car and carry so much speed through the corners that the fact you buzzed the limiter halfway down the straight didn't really matter. Those were generally the two approaches that got the best results. However, what if we were to change the rules? Rather than building a car to do this, what if you were to use, well, a standard car? Of course, we're not talking about anything electric, anything with CVTs and so on. We're talking about a normal car with a normal gearbox, because then you have all sorts of different conundrums. You need a car that can carry good corner speed, sure, but they, certainly when we're dealing with A-Class, generally mean they're down on power. Gearing might not be all that helpful for you for actually getting out of the corners. You can go for something powerful, but then you might have trouble through the turns. Your gear selection is going to be important in this one. What gear, the gearbox, you can't tune your gearbox to be however you want it to be set, so you've got to make do with what the car comes with. Some vehicles can have crazy gearbox, wacky gearboxes that don't really help with this. So, throw that all together, and it makes for a rather interesting conundrum as to what you use and what might work where. So, for our first race, we have come to the Bamberg Coast Circuit, and there is an interesting variety of vehicles. Oh, I'm starting on pole. This is good news. I have a Warthog and the Urus behind me. We then have an i8, a Morgan, an F-Type, Cayman. There's a Bentley in there with a lot of power and a lot of torque, but a lot of weight. C63 and an Aston Martin DBS, Jaguar and Alfa Giulia all the way at the back. I'm hoping the M6 is going to work pretty well around here. Fourth gear is where it's at with this car. It has pretty decent top end. It doesn't buzz the limiter. Probably won't buzz the limiter at any of the circuits we're going to, and it's not too bad at getting out of the corners. That is the, I say the hope. Now the Warthog is going to launch like crazy, as is the Urus to an extent. I was hoping I might have stayed ahead of them. We now go into our selected gear, and we will see what happens. The Warthog is a very brave choice. The concern, perhaps, with the Warthog would be the gears are very short in that in general, so that's going to be in 6th, I would imagine, and that's kind of it. The Urus is at least an off-roady vehicle, so the going across the grass might not bother it too much in all of this. As we get out onto the back straight, who is going to be buzzing the limiter now? The first half of a lap is very different to the latter half of a lap. We have a Bentley having a look. Okay, the Warthog is buzzing the limiter. I'm going to have a very, very big dive. I apologise to the Urus. Not really an attempt at getting past you on that one. Now, this is hurting me. Oh, although the Warthog gave us a little bit of a help for all of that. Here we go. Out onto the start-finish straight we go. There is a lot of cars wide behind. The F-Type is accelerating, and by the looks of it, probably buzzing the limiter right about there. We've now got to try and chase down a fellow BMW. We're going to try and go after the i8. It does actually seem to be going pretty damn well around here, although it has got a really big slide. Now, it's weird driving without changing gear. It really is. It's like psychologically, your brain is shouting at you that you need to change down a gear. It's a bit painful in this. Unlike the previous time we ran this with the vastly modified cars, you know, I had 1,000 horsepower in my muscle car. This does not have that. This does not have in fact, this has much less power. It has better tyres, but it has much less power, and it has a lot more, well, not a lot more weight, but this is actually heavier than the AMC that I ran. We're starting to reel the i8 in a little bit, actually, on this. I know I had a slightly scruffy lap. This is where I lose a smidge. I'm geared longer, it would seem, than cars around, which it helps me later on in the straight. So the i8's going to be hitting the limiter probably halfway down that straight, and I'm close to, but not actually hitting the limiter. We chuck it into turn 1. Don't slide the car around. You know, we've still got quite a lot of power, 550, 560 in this, so it's not light on power, the old M6 here. We're going to chuck it in. That was too much. That was way too much. Throw it in. It's going to cost me in the long run. Here comes the Giulia. The Giulia's actually done really well coming from the back of the field. Through this. Yeah, that's gone. I was trying to be a bit too aggressive there. in sneaking my way across the corner, and barring a similar sort of mistake from the i8, I think we are going to be consigned to dealing with the Alfa Romeo, and I've had the back end let go slightly through there. Of course, all of these cars are stock. You can still get them sliding around. Not many cars here have got any sort of aero on them. A lot of the cars gone for are generally quite powerful machinery. We wanted the power, we wanted the torque. There's not too much in the way of truly, well, I say truly crazy machines. Not got too many crazy grip machines going on. The F-Type looks like it's having fun stuck in traffic around here. Oh, the Giulia wants to get to the inside. I might have to give it some space through here. This is where I want to cut back underneath it, but then the gears are the problem. Overtaking is tough with this rule set. I think I am faster than the Alfa down the straights as we get going out here. I mean, I have more power, I have more torque than the Alfa from standard. I don't know what the gear's like. The Alfa might be in its power band a little better than me to begin with, and reeling it back in as we go over the crest. I can't go around the outside. Now, this fighting slows us both down. It does hinder both of us. I think the Giulia is a little better in the corners. Just a smidge better in the corners. As we now run onto the back straight. Can I close in before turn 1? That's the thing that matters, really. If I can't get back past it, yeah, we reel it in from about here onwards. It's not by that much, though, so we reel it in. Yeah, if we don't actually reel it in as much as I was hoping we would be, we'll bobble the curbs ever so slightly. Yeah, I mean, a little mistake from me put me in a dangerous place. I'm not quite sure I have got the pace to fight back. That was a clonk on the wall as well. Yeah, the downside of the M6, it has the power, it has the torque, but it is a bit big and a bit heavy compared to some of the cars around, and on the technical sections we come undone. Now, this may work. It may work out in our favour on other tracks. We shall have to wait and see. For this session, we are allowed to select a different gear for a different circuit. Third might get used on the more technical circuits. But as it is, I mean, fourth worked. Third wouldn't have worked. Would have buzzed the limiter far too much with this. Perhaps our slight lack of grip. The Urus has kept us very honest, actually. I drove a couple of scruffy laps towards the end of this one, as behind it looks like a Jags fighting with something. It's a podium. It's a podium. It's an okay start. Could have maybe driven a little bit better. Okay, the i8, the Giulia, very, very similar lap times. The Urus into the 59s as well, as was the Morgan, actually, into the 59s, 7s. The Bentley was pretty fast as well. Yeah, it's a couple of scruffy bits and pieces from me. Could have been better. Still a chance it will be later on. So, for our next race, we've come to the Lakehurst Hop Circuit. Now, this is a mean track. It is a mean track because I guess technically sort of turn 3 is going to be a problem area. Now, you want quite a long gear. There are 2 long straights. But if you have too long a gear, you won't get out of the hairpin. For example, I'm going to stick with 4th gear in the M6. I know coming out the hairpin, it isn't going to be quite as nice. However, if I go for anything higher than... Well, if I went for lower than 4th, I'd buzz the limiter constantly. If I went for 5th, I would never, ever get out of that hairpin. So, yeah, 4th gear is where it's at. I've got a lot of work to do here. We're starting at the back. And me and the Mercedes probably quite even in terms of car. The Mercedes maybe a little bit lighter than me. The M6, I think, a smidge more powerful. Some slipping and sliding as we're all in. Probably, I mean, it's 3rd or 4th is really, unless your car has a very funny gearbox, 3rd or 4th is where it's going to be at. I was worried the M6 might have too weirder a gearbox for this to work, but I was pleasantly surprised. I tried a Diablo and it didn't work. I couldn't get the Diablo to get any speed out of the gear ratios in that. We weren't allowed to tune the gear ratios, of course. They had to be run as they come from the manufacturer, if you like. That's part of the fun of this. 4th may actually be a smidge long in places around here. I'm surprised. I guess the thing that we do have to bear in mind is it takes so long to spool up, if you like, that straights are a little almost different here. I don't know if that makes all... I don't know if that makes all the amount of sense. But, yeah, because it takes so long for the cars to now get going, for everybody. I mean, we're all in a similar boat here. But because, yeah, it takes a while for the vehicles to get going, you aren't actually going as fast at the end of a straight as you would be with this car normally. So you know, we're not actually buzzing the limiter. Fourth is kind of perfect. I thought we might be buzzing it with this, but no, I'm going to say we're not. The Warthog is having a torrid time. Now, that's going to be one of those annoying... It'll probably be an annoyance in front of us, because it'll go through here, and... Oh, God, it's getting a little bit crowded. Who's got... See, there's where the Warthog's strength comes in. Now, this circuit, the Warthog might suffer. At the next track we're going to go to, it might actually come quite good. The Bentley is actually leading the way. I mean, in this kind of racing from this far back, we're always going to struggle. It's always going to be a little difficult just to make up the places. You get snared in traffic, and you lose so much time in traffic with this sort of racing. It is just inevitable. We have had a good recovery to get up to 6th within the first couple of laps. It's a case of, can I chase down that Jag? Now that might be tough. Now, the Jag, I think, buzzes the limiter down the straights, which gives me some hope. The Morgan, I don't know. We didn't really see that in the previous race. It looks like the Alpha was battling away with the i8 as well. Still, they're kind of within a second. Okay, we are almost buzzing the limiter down here. The Jag may have gone for a slightly higher gear for this circuit. As I said, you can change the gearing. So it might be the F-Type's gone for a slightly higher gear around this track. The Morgan does seem to be getting caught. I mean, this is one of those, if you can't afford to make a mistake here. You can't afford to slide the car, because momentum is the important word of the day in this kind of racing. You need as much of it as you can get, because any momentum you have is work the engine doesn't have to do when the engine's at an unhappy point in its power band. Don't run wide, don't clip the rocks, leather cap just gets away with it. Oh, that's a lot of exploring there. It's not quite where I'd want to be going, but there we go. Who gets a better drive? See, this is the bit that I just struggle with. Just struggle with getting the power down through here. We are very slightly closing. We are gradually closing. I think... Oh, Clark has got to the lead with that i8. The Bentley might be in a little spot of trouble. The Jag is as well, with a big sideways moment. Can I get past? Is it going to be in the braking zone? Yeah, the Jag's definitely running a different gear ratio here to what it was running at Bamborough. Although now it's sliding around. This is going to cost us a chance. Well, that's going to cost us a chance to get into the Morgan. If we do this, we will definitely not catch the Morgan, but I don't think we were going to anyway. There's a big fight going on at the front. The Alpha's got to the lead now. Come on, BMW. We've got to watch out for a little bit for Blakey with the Mercedes if something goes wrong. Me and the Jag are really evenly matched. I think I might have a slightly better sort of 110 mile an hour acceleration. I don't want to play with the rocks. We give each other, and that's how you do it. Perfect amount of space given through there. It's going to be a side up the inside. Oh, we just make it work. Now the Jag is going to want to fight back. It's unfortunately on a slightly wonky line, but see how much time that's cost us in all of that. The Morgan's gone. The Morgan's actually gone off chasing after the cars ahead at this stage because we were just side by side and causing trouble. The Giulia leads from the i8 and the Bentley. Be curious to see what my lap times are going to be like here. I think I'm a little bit more competitive here than I might have been at Bamborough. The Jag's having a look. I'll try and get as much space as I can. Oh, the Jag got a big slide on. I think that might be the F-Type done unless I do anything galactically stupid. And I'm a little bit wide through there. Come on, Beamer. Use the power. Use the torque, please. That's such a horrible corner. I did think the cars might struggle a little bit more. I thought we might end up at a slightly slower pace, if you like, coming out of that hairpin. It feels horrendous to drive, but it could be worse. The car isn't as unhappy as it could be. Second gear would be nice at the end of the day, but third gear you just get slaughtered down these straights. That's the end of the straights. It's just not worth it. I think I am slightly slower than the top three, really. We're close in there's tenths. We gain in a couple of places, we lose in a couple of others. I think we lose more overall than we gain, really. The Alpha wins just from the i8. The Bentley takes third. The Morgan will be fourth. We are going to come across the line in fifth. I'm very curious about fastest lap, because we were always going to struggle with the amount of work we had to do to cut up our way up through the field. Yeah, but it's not terrible. We're a little bit off the Julia and the i8. The Mercedes was quicker as well. In fact, so the Jaguar further back. Fastest of all was the Urus in 11th. I presume a missed checkpoint might have got in the way of that one. Oh, fun race. Actually, a really good fun race. So, for our final race with this peculiar rule set, we've come to Edinburgh. We've come to the station circuit. Now, gearing may well be changed for various cars here. I'm going for third. Am I a little worried? Yes. The M6 tops out at 120, 121 or something. It will buzz the limiter around here. However, fourth I don't think will work. I don't think at some of the slower... There's going to be so many slow acceleration zones at the time lost buzzing the limiter. I'm better off putting two... I'm better off putting acceleration out of the corner ahead. Now, the Warthog could be very fast here. The Warthog could be very fast. Once we go around the first corner, we have to put the car in our chosen gear, and that is that. Yeah, the Warthog might actually work quite nicely here. Of course, the handling at the end of the day is still going to be an important part of this one. The handling is still going to play a part, of course, because you're on a very, very twisty circuit. It's not all about the gearing. I think that might be what ever so slightly lets the M6 down against some of these cars. That is, I think that's going to pick the wrong car. That's not an Alpha, or it was either way. That's sure, whatever. It's an Infinity we're racing against. Let's see, the third gear is pretty good out of here. Wait, there's the Infinity. Okay, waited. I lost it. I saw there was a yellow car and then there was another yellow car, and I was trying to figure out which yellow car was what. Blakey's Mercedes was someone behind us. Stevie has lagged out sadly with one of the Jags, I think it was. Then this is where we get into a trouble. Is trying to get past the Cayman is not the easiest of things. Overtaking is not easy. The Warthog is using that crazy acceleration to good effect. The Cayman's got a lot of grip, and the Cayman makes it work on the outside. Now, the Infinity's got nowhere to go. The Bentley is going to have absolutely nowhere to go in this one as well. Oh, God. It is getting very busy here. I don't like how busy this is. I want to try and get myself ahead and in some clean air. The i8 cannot match the... Well, I say cannot match the Warthog. It's with it. The i8 cannot seem to find a way past that Warthog. Now, this is where I may be a smidge vulnerable. I'm hoping I can get out of that corner better than some of the cars, because I know we're going to buzz the limiter. It's only for a little bit here. Actually, yeah, I think it's not a bad compromise we've got here. Fourth gear would have been silly. Fourth gear wouldn't have worked around this track. Unfortunately, the Bentley... Now we have a different car looking for a way past us. Yeah, fourth gear really wouldn't have worked. Third is the way to go for the M6. Different cars will be using different gears, of course, depending on what their boxes are like. Oh, Christ, it's getting a bit sketchy here. Blakey ended up in the train station. Ewan is going to have a go at the inside there. That Bentley is just a bit better. Bentley is just a smidge better than me, it would seem. Although it then struggles around this next corner. I'm now going to find myself on the really wide line that I don't really want to be on out here. Can I duck underneath the Bentley? Or kind of. Bentley ended up... I ended up understeering a bit more than I expected. The Bentley ended up understeering more than it expected. We're all going to get passed by the Infinity in a second if we're not careful. We're going to buzz the limiter, and that is where we have problems. The Bentley's wide, the Infinity is through, so we're up the inside. The Urus is joining in this mad battle. I mean, this is the battle for the podium at the moment, let's not forget here. The lead two are gone. Now, partly I think they might have better cars suited here. The Warthog can't even be caught by the A8. Partly because we're doing this, and this is not good for anybody. We get a little bit of help through there from the Urus, and I end up losing the back end in this. I don't want to be on the outside anymore. Can we duck underneath the big Lambo? No, it would seem not. Now I've got an F-Type for company. We've been battling with that for a lot of the time. I guess we're just going to be neat and tidy. Let's go back. We had a good sort of first lap. It looked like we had some good speed for a while. We just need to go back to being neat and tidy around here. Come on, BMW, get some acceleration out of these corners. The Bentley's been shuffled all the way back to 9th. That's how things can go with this race. So the Urus, I think, is actually buzzing the limiter before I am, which is something. I think it might be the first car to buzz the limiter is that Lambo with the gearing that it's got. This is the final lap now, so this is your last chance. If you're going to make something happen, I'd love just a smidge more rear-end grip. The Urus might try and make something happen on the Infinity, actually. I mean, they're both all-wheel drive cars here. Annoyingly, the F-Type has a pretty good grip through these corners. I'm going to defend like mad, though. So we're going to try and make it very difficult for the Jag. And of course, if you're defending here, it's not going to be I'm not going to be an easy car to pass. I got a very good run through there, and the F-Type didn't. Again, probably not in a good point in the rev range and everything, and you just get dropped back. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find a way past these cars ahead, though, barring mistakes, of course. As I mentioned, you make that clip on the wall, and you slow each other down in that one. There, the Infinity lost a lot of speed trying to make that work. We will get the run. Now, Longbow is going to defend. Longbow buzzes the limiter. I buzz the limiter. I'm on the outside of the huge Lambo barge. It will be fourth in the end for me. Ooh. What a bloody crazy race that one was. It's fourth for the M6. The Warthog is undeniably the best car there. The Warthog was fantastically fast. The F-Type was quick but got stuck in traffic. The i8 also pretty fast, but no match for the Warthog. Thought the gears might work on that one here, and it really, really did. Yeah. Us not fighting as hard as we did for third didn't help. I should probably add that, you know, the margin of victory a little bit larger, but... So first and second anyway, yeah. What a bonkers race, but an awful lot of fun as well. So it turned out the M6 was not too bad of a choice, really. In all of this, the gears just about worked. The power delivery was helpful. I was worried the Beamer was going to have a silly gearbox, but it does actually work pretty well. It does work very well indeed, in fact. Let down perhaps by its size and maybe a little bit its weight compared to some of the other vehicles. Certainly it was a good top half of the field. I don't think ever quite going to be the fastest car, quite take victory, unless a weird sort of sequence of events went on, but certainly a good, solid, high-finishing position car. So this is an interesting challenge. This is a very interesting challenge. It's very difficult to... It's very difficult to pick something that works everywhere. The Warthog, a great example of that, can be phenomenally fast at the right track, in the right conditions, and woefully slow elsewhere. It is, yeah, certainly good fun giving this a try. I highly recommend it, especially with the stock cars, because there's so many more variables now you throw into it almost that you've got to try and work with the various vehicles. That, though, is going to be it for this video. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, a goodbye.